Hello, I am here at the Black Bear Film Festival. It is our 24th year. I can't believe it. I don't know where the time went. And Christopher Thorton both starred in and wrote our film last night, our fabulous opening night film called Sympathy Delicious. Right away, I love the name. By the title alone, I wanted to see it.
Oh, great. Well, thank you very much.
Well, it was so great to have you here. And what was a big surprise, you did this film with Mark Ruffalo as a director.
Yes, yeah.
And 2009 you started.
We shot it in 2009.
And it's incredible.
Yeah, long time ago.
Right. I mean, a lot's happened between 2009 and now, but I guess the point is we shoot a film. We launched the film. We put it in festivals. I would imagine you started putting it in festivals when 2011.
We first went to Sundance in 2010. Yeah.
Well, first of all, Christopher, the fact that you got it into Sundance.
Yeah, that was a big deal, just getting in.
No, I know, just getting in.
I mean, there's so many submissions every year to Sundance.
Well, yeah. And more, because there's more and more filmmakers.
More films,
they're like cranking them out.
Yeah,
There's like a place where they produce films, these indies.
Once digital became viable, it exploded.
It totally exploded.
Many more films.
So, was this the first time you had done a film?
You mean making myself?
Yeah.
Yes.
How incredible is that? First shot out of the bag, you get into Sundance.
It was I was pinching myself all the time. But I was feeling that way long before Sundance. Just who came on board to work on the film was
amazing.
We had this incredible cast and crew. We had Chris Noor, an amazing cinematographer, came on board. Andrea Sperling, which is she's one of the big independent film producers. Just all across in every department on that movie, we were just so blessed with who came on board to work on it.
How did the team that you put together? And I have to tell you, in the film, Juliette Lewis, Laura Linney, or Orlando Bloom.
Yeah. Mark's in it as well.
Mark Ruffalo, of course, plays the priest in the film.
Yeah.
But how did you?
But we also had John Carroll Lynch and Noah Emmerich, and we had some great.
Most first shot out of the bag filmmakers don't get this opportunity. Yeah. How did you make that happen?
Well, I think it was a combination of things. I have to give so much credit to Mark, because one of the things that really helped the film was we worked on the script for years and trying to raise the money.
So
it went on for years and years.
That's key.
Yeah, that was key, and it went on for so long that he was turning into a movie star at the same time.
Amazing story,
it would be just wrong not to talk about how much that helped, because he had worked with a lot of people by that point, and he had a lot of relationships, and he was able to get the script in certain hands.
And did that help, of course, with getting the cast? You had a all-star cast.
Yeah, it
there.
did. It absolutely did. Yeah,
it absolutely did. It's amazing. Now, you guys, I think I heard the Q&A last night, which I love Q&As.
Yeah, that was a great crowd.
Great crowd, and John DeLeo was amazing.
He was great, and the questions were so intelligent and thought-provoking. I had to really think.
You had to really think, right? He made you work for it.
Yeah, no, they did. They put me to the task.
Right.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
But you brought out a good point. You worked on this script for years. So do you think all told we're looking at maybe 16, 17 years to birth this baby?
It wasn't quite that long. For me, it was about, I want to say, 12 years probably. From the time, maybe almost somewhere between 12 and 13 years. If you're going to go from when I wrote the very first draft to when it was shot, that was about a 12-year period. Yeah.
And you and Mark Ruffalo met at Stella Adler?
We were at the Stella Adler Conservatory.
I went to HB Studios, we know these schools.
Yeah, and back then, Stella was still alive and teaching. Yeah. She taught right up till the day she died. She was
amazing.
She was quite amazing. And so, we met at her school, and we were in class together, and we actually got to know each other on a production of Midsummer Night's Dream at the school.
I love it. Right.
And
who did you play?
We were Lysander and Demetrius. He was Lysander and I was Demetrius. So we had a lot of scenes together, And that was when we really got to be friends, because we had so much interaction on the play.
Amazing.
Yeah, we were 19 or something. We were really young.
So, there's so much in terms of what Christopher's saying, because these relationships are built early on in the game, and so much that's done has to do with people meeting other people along the way, and they become part of your tribe.
It's true. very much so. Yeah, and it's still that way to this day.
I love it.
Anything I read, anything I write, excuse me, Mark is one of the first people who reads it to this day, and gives me brutal feedback.
Is it really brutal? I know, Mark.
It can be, but it's great. I want it.
Right.
That's what I want.
Well, also you can trust him.
Yeah, very much so. And we fought so much over the Sympathy for Delicious script.
Did you really?
But we realized that the fights made it better, so we didn't, it just became part of it.
Two very opinionated people.
Yeah, that's what that is. That's two very strong.
Of course, I know who Mark is. I've never met him in person, but
Right.
I could already see, you both have strong personalities and opinions and ways
I think
of looking.
That's probably fair to say. Yeah.
Looking at things.
Yeah.
How long have you been an actor for?
Well, I started acting. I had done a couple of student plays when I was in high. I think it was probably like my sophomore year of high school.
Which was where?
I'm from New Orleans.
Okay. But no Southern accent.
I haven't lived there in a long time.
Which proves
it's probably gone. But I don't think everybody from New Orleans speaks the way people think that.
Right. No, you're totally.
If you heard my brother speak, you'd think he was from Brooklyn, and he's lived in New Orleans his whole life.
Right.
But I didn't. I took acting seriously when I majored in drama at the University of New Orleans. So that was when I really dug in. I think when I was 18 and started.
Wow.
And started doing a lot of play after play after play after play.
And I have to tell you, and I'm sure you hear this from other people, they say, the camera loves certain people. The camera loves your face.
Well, thank you.
You know what? That is.
I was younger when we shot Sympathy.
No, but that is just something that is in someone. You're the person I see in person, intense and great blue eyes and a focus, and all of that comes through on the film itself.
It's hard to watch yourself.
Tell me about it.
You can say that, but anybody watching themselves, it's like, do my eyes really do that thing? That's a bad habit there. And,
you start to critique yourself.
It's brutal.
You totally see the flaws. So you've been acting for a very long time and writing for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, writing's been very secondary to me. I enjoy it a lot. I think acting probably comes more naturally to me. Writing is by far the hardest thing. I think that in my it's a real discipline to try to make something work on the page.
Well, and of course, again, you have to collaborate with people and get their feedback.
And it's a film, yes, you do.
You do, and your ego can't be front and center.
No,
you kind of have
you have to understand that. I think every writer goes through the kind of ring of fire of realizing that everything you come up with is not great. And you need criticism, you need feedback, you need to rewrite,
Right.
And it's hard, that's, I think, very hard to learn at the early. You just think everything is great. You're so excited by it when you're first starting out. You really come to learn it's not.
It wasn't so good, and people will not hesitate to tell you
true.
that.
Yeah. You have to have people you trust giving you, intelligent feedback.
It's important to have these independent film festivals so that, like you said, yours was made 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
We screened it here last night.
Yeah.
Nobody had seen this film before. Thank you, Barbara McNamara, for bringing Christopher in, bringing the film in, because you know what? It was a very important film. Two things in that film that resonated with me. It dealt with a homeless situation, which when you were early on in the game about making a film about it. Now we look at the homeless.
We shot right next to the real Skid Row.
You did.
In LA, yeah.
Wow.
Literally right next door to
So it was completely authentic.
It was, it was.
And the other thing, as an actor, you have to use a chair. You've had challenges, I'm sure, because of that.
Yes, yeah.
How do you? I noticed when they do castings, they were doing more and more. They will ask for people for authenticity. But have you had issues with casting directors or people when you've gone up for a role? Because you know what, you should be able to play any role.
Well, so that is an issue. I haven't had any difficult interactions with casting people. They're all usually very, very gracious.
Gracious, right.
There are sometimes issues that you literally can't get in a casting office.
Right.
And there are a lot of wheelchair-bound actors who'll tell that same story.
Right.
So they find a way around it, But no, not in interaction with them. But what the last thing you said is an issue that there still seems to be a perception in the business that wheelchair actor, or disabled actor has to play disabled part.
I hate,
which are few and far between.
Right, and I hate using that word, and I see it all the time on the casting because, there are issues such as being able to get the chair through the doorway in certain places.
Right.
But when I see that, I want to say, what does it have to do with the price of eggs?
Yeah.
Unless you're like being Arnold Schwarzenegger, I mean.
Yeah, no, it's true. The reality of living with a disability is you do go on to have a life, and your life consists of pretty much the same things everybody else does.
As it should.
And that you don't see a ton of that at all in film and television. You just don't. Or on stage, right? There are exceptions here and there, you know, and maybe it's getting slowly.
I think slowly, because I look at those castings all the time, and I think, okay, and certainly SAG, they try. They're trying.
Once in a while, I'll get a call to go in and play a lawyer in a scene, and they just had a wild idea to do it, but it's not. It just doesn't happen that often,
But you're a great type, and you're fantastic.
Thank you.
You're a great type for that.
Thank
I look at you, and you're very blessed that you have the right looks, and there's a lot of roles someone like you could play. So
yeah. Certainly, one feels that you could do more than is out there.
Thank you. Well, I think you are, first of all, setting a precedent. Second of all, with whatever projects you have going forward, you'll be able to make a difference as well.
I hope so.
That's important.
It's a worthy cause. There's a lot of talented people with disabilities out there. And it's a very, very underrepresented generation.
I'm right there with you. I know, I told you a little glimmer last night. My husband, who's in his 80s, had to start using a cane this year, can't do stairs. It made me very much aware in New York City. What a nightmare getting
New York. New York. I've never lived in New York as an actual resident, but I've done several plays.
Of course.
So I've lived there for long periods of time, and I love New York. I absolutely love the city. It is challenging in the chair. There's just no way around it. It just is. There's very few subway stops with elevators. I was lucky. The first, and often they're broken. The first play I did in New York, actually, this goes back a long way. I got lucked out because I was staying right next to one stop that had one, and there was another stop that which was not far from where we rehearsed. So that was my one time where I was kind of a constant.
Isn't that great when that happens?
But it really was just the luck of the draw.
Right.
It happened to be the two addresses, But other than that, it's buses. Sometimes cabs won't even stop for you because they see the chair and they're like, I don't want to take the extra minute
to fold the chair.
Yeah, some of them will stop, but some won't. But it doesn't stop me from loving the city. I've been recurring on Megan's PI for 5 years.
Here's your seat. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's been a great job.
Good for you.
So that's been a really steady job for a long time, 5 years. Really.
But you know how blessed you are as an actor to be able to say that?
I
mean, we're out on, SAG is out on strike, and I really thought the negotiations were coming to it was just going to happen, and then boom, it blew up. But I think you know this. 1% of the people in our industry are like you. They have reoccurring roles, and they're working all the time. Everybody else is just like clamoring.
It's true.
It's a terrible situation.
It's true how it's when you look at the statistics of how many SAG members are out of work at any given, not just during the strike.
At any given time.
Yeah, it's always been hard. It's always been hard.
The struggle is real. The struggle is real. So 5 years on Magnum PI.
Yeah. So it's really like when the strike comes out, just trying to figure out what I'm going to do next.
Right. I think it helps that you write.
It does. And I'm actually writing 3 things right now. So
of course, 3.
I'm trying to get one of those wrapped up ASAP. So yeah.
One of the things you're writing, is it a film?
It is a film.
It's a film.
Yeah. It's a feature that we might actually make a short out of it first.
Right.
And then go. But the script, it's the feature script already exists.
So I want to get into the nitty gritty. How does one pay for all of this? And
the movie?
Yeah.
Well, you have to when it's you mean like Sympathy? With Sympathy, it's I think what every independent filmmaker goes through. You have to, depending on what the budget is.
Right.
you know, some people are now making what they call micro-budget movies.
I
where you
have
can
seen
you
them
can almost
advertised.
self-fund. You know, because again, the technology's gotten so much more available.
Well,
digital.
people do GoFundMe. There are GoFundMes I
People do
contributed to for
Yeah.
friends to
GoFundMe.
raise money for
People are
them.
shooting movies on iPhones. You know, we didn't have that luxury back in
Back in the day.
even just 2009. Things have changed a lot since
A lot.
then. So, but if it gets up to a certain number, again, it's going to depend on the script and what the production demands are.
Right.
But so I think when you reach a certain number, unless you're independently wealthy, you have to raise money.
Right.
You just do, and you're gonna need some kind of investor or investors.
Well, then
which
there's
is
the GoFundMes.
Yeah. See, that didn't exist when we made Sympathy.
Right.
To my knowledge, there was no GoFundMe.
No, I kind of did the math from.
Kickstart
That's why I
and all
went.
that.
Yeah, Kickstarter.
I don't recall
and
that
all
even being an option back then.
I don't. No, it definitely
Unless
wasn't.
yeah,
And you
so-
raised the money for this, and you shot it in 23 days.
We shot it in 23 days, yeah. And it's on film, actually. Sympathy for Delicious, we were going to shoot it on the Red, which is a very well-known digital thing that's it's been around probably the longest. But I thought there was kind of an 11th hour decision to go ahead and shoot it on 35. We realized we had enough money in the budget to just barely do that. And Mark and our cinematographer, the great Chris Knorr, who's a big part of why Sympathy looks as good as it
There were
goes.
so many camera things, ins and outs and angles.
His relationship with Mark is such a huge part
Symbiotic.
of Sympathy,
Yeah,
which I had nothing to do with that part. You know, they were great together, and they got pushed for it at the last minute to be in film, and when we saw a digital screening last night, which looked great. But when we were at Sundance and we were seeing it spooled, on a projector, it just looked incredible.
Isn't that amazing?
It really was just beautiful to look at. Whether you like the movie or not, it was great to look at.
No, it's a fabulous movie with like a great message, and you know what? The storyline is very interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, I totally loved it, and so did the rest of the audience at Black Bear. And
yeah, they were so
when you think of our theater,
beautiful.
Isn't this
the
great?
building's over 100 years old. Right?
Yeah,
Someone was giving me a little tour.
It's haunted.
Is it haunted?
Yeah, someone has seen the original projectionist in the front row.
Well, they still have the projector, though.
I know.
It's the size of my
took
car.
The tour, right? You took the tour.
Yeah, we took the tour.
The tour.
It's here. Yeah.
Well, spread the word about Black Bear to other
I certainly will.
filmmakers that you know.
You guys are great.
What's your schedule for today?
I have to go back to Manhattan right now.
I thought that you were. So
I'm literally leaving you, and we're getting in a car.
Good. There's your.
There's my
Owen.
Owen and I.
Oh, Owen. Hi, Owen. Christopher, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you for being here with your wonderful film.
It was my absolute pleasure.
And we wish you the best of luck with all of your endeavors ahead.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.